any day. And we're going to read a little bit, a couple paragraphs on history before we get into Haggai. And there are a couple of pages of that. Page 110, it says historical background of the post-exilic prophets, Haggai, Zechariah, and Malachi. According to Jeremiah's prophecy in chapters 25 and 29, the Jewish POWs who were taken by Nebuchadnezzar to Babylon would return after 70 years, as there were 3 batches of captives led away during a 20-year siege in 606, 598, and 586 BC. So there were 3 batches that returned in 536, Zerubbabel, 458, Ezra, and 445, Nehemiah. Haggai and Zechariah were among the first to return to Jerusalem under Zerubbabel and Joshua the high priest. Malachi was the last to return under Nehemiah. Not only was Jeremiah's prophecy of the Jews' return after 70 years fulfilled, there was also Isaiah's prophecy on the rebuilding of Jerusalem by the decree of the Persian king Cyrus. Had there been no return from Babylon, Judah would have shared the fate of Israel and have blended with the East. The Hebrew scriptures would have been lost. Many of them now possessed would never have been written. And that's according to an author named Scroggie. The first return registered 50,000. We might call them the Pilgrim Fathers of the Jews. By Cyrus's decree to return and rebuild their temple, all those sacred vessels of silver and gold for temple service numbering over 5,000, were brought back to Jerusalem. The richer Jews and those born in Babylon during the captivity remained behind, like those living comfortably in America today, and were absorbed or dispersed elsewhere. By way of recapitulation, the leaders of the first return in 536 BC were Zerubbabel the governor and Jeshua the high priest. Zerubbabel was of royal blood, a grandson of King Jehoiakim, grandson of good King Josiah. Zerubbabel means born in Babylon. Being the pioneer leader, the difficulties he faced during his tenure of office were overwhelming. Jerusalem was in ruins. Much of the land was usurped by the Edomites. Isn't this great, coming along right after Doc gave us that great display yesterday of how all this took place?
I know it.
Jerusalem was in ruins. Much of the land was usurped by Edomites, Israelites who intermarried with other races after the destruction of Samaria. The northern capital became a mixed people called Samaritans. It's page 111. Such peoples were hostile to the Jewish returnees. We're in the 3rd paragraph. Being weaned of idolatry, the Jewish returnees were zealous to revive the ancient worship by rebuilding the temple destroyed by Nebuchadnezzar. Wisely, they began by first erecting the altar where they could offer sacrifices to their God immediately. After 1 year in 535 BC, they laid the foundation of the temple amidst rejoicings mingled with wailings of the older Jews who were used to the splendor of Solomon's temple. There is a Chinese Christian saying, "When God works, Satan also works." No sooner were the foundations laid than opposition arose from every quarter. First, it came disguised as condescending patronage. When the half-caste Samaritans' offer of help was rejected because of their part heathenism, they flared up in open opposition. Though through their accusations before the Persian authorities, the building of the temple was halted for 15 years. The initial zeal of the Jewish returnees was dampened, to say the least. Some even gave up the thought of rebuilding. In order to revive the work on the temple, God raised up 2 prophets, Haggai and Zechariah. From the text of Scripture, we find that Haggai was the older prophet in Haggai 2:3, and Zechariah the younger in Zechariah 2:4. God is displeased when his house is unbuilt, sitting in the cold. Go up to the mountain and bring wood and build the house, and I will take pleasure in it, and I will be glorified, saith the Lord. Haggai 1, verse 8. And we'll get there in just 1 minute. Let's go to the book of Haggai. And we'll read through the chapter 1. It says, in the second year of Darius the king, the 6th month, in the first day of the month, came the word of the Lord by Haggai the prophet unto Zerubbabel, the son of Shealtiel, governor of Judah, and to Joshua, the son of Josedek, the high priest, saying, thus speaketh the Lord of hosts, saying, the people say, the time is not come, the time that the Lord's house should be built. Then came the word of the Lord by Haggai the prophet, saying, it is time for you, O ye, to dwell in your sealed houses, and this house lie waste. Now therefore, thus saith the Lord of hosts, consider your ways. Ye have sown much, and bring in little. Ye eat, but ye have not enough. Ye drink, but ye are not filled with drink. Ye clothe you, but there is none warm. And he that earneth wages to put it in a bag with holes. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, consider your ways. Go up to the mountain and bring wood and build the house, and I will take pleasure in it, and I will be glorified, saith the Lord. Ye looked for much, and lo, it came to little. And when you brought it home, I did blow upon it. Why, saith the Lord of hosts? Because of mine house that is waste, and ye run every man unto his own house. Therefore the heaven over you is stayed from dew, and the earth is stayed from her fruit. And I called for a drought upon the land, and upon the mountains, and upon the corn, and upon the new wine, and upon the oil, and upon that which the ground bringeth forth, and upon men, and upon cattle, and upon the labor of the hands. Then Zerubbabel the son of Shealtiel, and Joshua the son of Josedek, the high priest, with all the remnant of the people, obeyed the voice of the Lord their God, and the words of Haggai the prophet, as the Lord their God had sent him, and the people did fear before the Lord. Then spake Haggai the Lord's messenger, and the Lord's message unto the people, saying, I am with you, saith the Lord. And the Lord stirred up the spirit of Zerubbabel the son of Shealtiel, governor of Judah, and the spirit of Joshua the son of Josedek, the high priest, and the spirit of the remnant of the people. And they came and did work in the house of the Lord of hosts, their God, in the 24th day of the 6th month, in the 2nd year of Darius the king. So in our text, page 112, it says, Haggai. You will notice from chart 103 of Scroggy's The Unfolding Drama of Redemption that Haggai's revival ministry to the returnees lasted only 4 months. This shows his messages were very effective, for it did not take too long to get the people moving. There were 4 messages he preached, recorded in his book. These may be outlined as follows. Roman numeral 1, a word of rebuke, chapter 1, 1 through 11. Number 2, a word of encouragement, chapter 2, 1 through 9. Number 3, a word of blessing, chapter 2, 10 through 19. And number 4, a word of confirmation, chapter 2, verses 20 through 23. So Roman numeral 1, he says, a word of rebuke. The troubles that have come upon the returnees were manifestation of God's displeasure on them. Why? Because the people built themselves luxurious homes. The temple of God was barely begun. God would be pleased with them and bless them when they would start building again. The message was well received by the returnees, who responded to build in 24 days. Before long, the people got discouraged again, as is the way of all flesh. To encourage the returnees, Haggai assured them God would supply all their needs. The silver is mine and the gold is mine. Moreover, the Lord was with them. Though the temple they were rebuilding could not compare with Solomon's, God would see to it that a greater temple, even the millennial temple, should rise out of great catastrophe before the desire of all nations shall come. By these words, the people's resolve to build was strengthened. Roman numeral 3, a word of blessing, chapter 2, 10 through 19. He says, by putting 2 questions to the people so as to elicit their answers and teach them a lesson, the prophet showed why the work of their hands was fruitless, because they were unclean and because they obeyed not their God. Nevertheless, if they would repent, the Lord would turn their curse into blessing. Roman numeral 4, a word of confirmation. The prophet sees great shaking of the Gentile powers to come. As for Zerubbabel, his appointed servant to rebuild his house, he would be confirmed in his appointment. He was God's signet, for I have chosen thee, saith the Lord of hosts. What a comfort to every servant on whom God has set his seal. And you see chart number 103 there, our timelines, speaking of Haggai and Zechariah, and what months of 520 BC, 519, 518, those 3 years. What was going on, you notice in 519 there was silence. And nothing was proclaimed, nothing was done. Then the 9th month of 518, Zechariah got busy, got after him again. So let's go to the book of Zechariah. Chapter 1. I'll read an introduction for you here first. It says on page 114, Zechariah means the Lord remembers. He, together with Haggai and Malachi, are post-exilic prophets. Born in Babylon of a priestly family, he was among the first contingent of 50,000 returnees sent under the decree of Cyrus, emperor of Persia, to Jerusalem to rebuild the temple. His colleague, an older man, was Haggai. Zechariah was both a priest and a prophet, like Jeremiah and Ezekiel. Zechariah began to prophesy 2 months after Haggai. This was in 520 BC. His ministry, like that of Haggai, was to encourage the returnees to rebuild the temple. Zechariah's ministry, however, extended far beyond that of Haggai, and his prophetic horizon was far wider than that of the rest of the minor prophets. He had much more to say about the Messiah and his work. Since Zechariah is a post-exilic prophet, the promises of future glory cannot refer to the return from Babylon. As his book contains a good number of visions, it is called an apocalypse. It is sometimes referred to as the Revelation of the Old Testament. The book can be divided into 2 large sections, chapters 1 through 8 and chapters 9 through 14. In section 1, we have a series of 8 visions with the prophet's contemporaries particularly in view. In section 2, he deals with the events of the end of Israel's history that extends into the golden millennium. Zechariah predicted the completion of the temple, which took place in 516 BC. And he refers us to Ezra 6, verse 15. He says, but went far beyond that in the final chapters of his prophecy. According to Charles L. Feinberg, the book may be defined, Roman numeral 1, as visions.
Outline.
Pardon me?
Book may be outlined.
You said defined.
Okay.
Okay.
Defined, outlined. I like definitions better than outlines, that's why. According to Charles L. Feinberg, the book may be outlined. Roman numeral 1, visions, chapters 1 through 6. Roman numeral 2, questions, chapters 7 and 8. Roman numeral 3, burdens, chapters 9 through 14. The prophet gives a complete spiritual history of Israel and of the relation of the Gentiles to her from the return from captivity to the end time. Messiah and Jerusalem are centers about which all the prophetic messages revolve. Zechariah has in view 3 empires: Persia with Darius in chapters 1 and 7, Greece with Alexander in chapter 9, and Rome, by implication, chapters 12 and 14. So let's go to Zechariah chapter 1, and let's read it. Zechariah chapter 1 from verse 1. says, in the 8th month, in the 2nd year of Darius, came the word of the Lord unto Zechariah, the son of Berechiah, the son of Iddo the prophet, saying, the Lord hath been sore displeased with your fathers. Therefore say thou unto them, thus saith the Lord of hosts, turn ye unto me, saith the Lord of hosts, and I will turn unto you, saith the Lord of hosts. Be ye not as your fathers, unto whom the former prophets have cried, saying, thus saith the Lord of hosts, turn ye now from your evil ways and from your evil doings. But they did not hear nor hearken unto me, saith the Lord. Your fathers, where are they? And the prophets, do they live forever? But my words and my statutes, which I commanded my servants, the prophets, did they not take hold of your fathers? And they returned and said, like as the Lord of hosts thought to do unto us according to our ways and according to our doings, so hath he dealt with us. Upon the 24th day of the 11th month, which is the month Sibat, in the 2nd year of Darius, came the word of the Lord unto Zechariah, the son of Berechiah, the son of Iddo the prophet, saying, I saw by night, and behold, a man riding upon a red horse, and he stood among the myrtle trees that were in the bottom. And behold, him were the behind him were there red horses, speckled and white. Then said I, O my Lord, what are these? And the angel that talked with me said unto me, I will show thee what these be. And the man that stood among the myrtle trees answered and said, these are they whom the Lord hath sent to walk to and fro through the earth. And they answered the angel of the Lord that stood among the myrtle trees, and said, we have walked to and fro through the earth, and behold, all the earth sitteth still and is at rest. Then the angel of the Lord answered and said, O Lord of hosts, how long wilt thou not have mercy on Jerusalem and on the cities of Judah, against which thou hast had indignation these 70 years? And the Lord answered the angel that talked with me with good words and comfortable words. So the angel that communed with me said unto me, cry thou, saying, thus saith the Lord of hosts, I am jealous for Jerusalem and for Zion with great jealousy. And I am very sore displeased with the heathen that are at ease. For I was but a little displeased, and they helped forward the affliction. Therefore, thus saith the Lord, I am returned to Jerusalem with mercies. My house shall be built in it, saith the Lord of hosts, and a line shall be stretched forth upon Jerusalem. Cry yet, saying, thus saith the Lord of hosts, my cities through prosperity shall yet be spread abroad, and the Lord shall yet comfort Zion, and shall yet choose Jerusalem. Then I lifted up mine eyes and saw, and behold, 4 horns. And I said unto the angel that talked with me, what be these? And he answered me, these are the horns which have scattered Judah, Israel, and Jerusalem. And the Lord showed me 4 carpenters. Then said I, what come these to do? And he spake, saying, these are the horns which have scattered Judah, so that no man did lift up his head. But these are come to fray them, to cast out the horns of the Gentiles, which lifted up their horn over the land of Judah to scatter it. Back to our text, page number 116, entitled Chapter 1, 4 Visions. This first message of Zechariah, given in 2nd year of Darius, shows that he was one speaking in the times of the Gentiles, which commenced in Nebuchadnezzar. While Haggai had earlier rebuked the Jewish returnees for negligence in the rebuilding of the temple, here Zechariah concentrated on the general low spiritual condition. The people needed to repent and be returned to the Lord in revival. The Lord's displeasure is seen in the destruction of their city in captivity for 70 years. Jeremiah 25 and 29. It says, the prophet warns the people against following the waywardness of their ancestors. The prophets in the generations of yesteryears were gone, but the law of God remained, fulfilled to the last letter. Roman numeral 1, vision of the horses. This vision is the key to all the messages following. Like the horsemen in Revelation 6, verses 1 through 8, here are also horsemen, and the color of the horses upon which they ride are red, speckled, and white. And who are the horsemen? They are messengers sent to go through the earth and to report back what they see. And what they see is the whole earth sitteth still and is at rest. The time of this setting is 70 years after the destruction of Jerusalem. But the time has now come when for Jerusalem's sake, God Almighty arises against the Gentile powers that are at peace, who had brought sorrow and affliction to God's people. But now is the Almighty's time to restore Jerusalem and have the temple rebuilt. A measuring line is stretched forth upon Jerusalem, which signifies the building of cities in the land of prosperity. In prosperity. Comfort is come to Zion, and Jerusalem is favored once more. Roman numeral 2, the vision of the four horns. Now the horn in Old Testament terminology is a symbol for power. Animals like the ox possess power in their horns. Micah 4:13, Daniel 8:3 and 4. In the light of Daniel and Revelation, we conclude this passage to refer to four empires of Daniel 2, 7, and 8. The powers in this context that scattered the Israelites and Jews were Babylonia, Persia, Greece, and Rome. In Zechariah's time, Greece and Rome had not yet appeared. This is where prophecy completes the picture. Roman numeral 4, vision of the four carpenters. These are God's workmen who came to fray, to cast out the Gentile powers who had oppressed Judah and scattered them. The scattering of Israel had been so furious that no man could lift up his head. In modern times, we have seen what atrocities were perpetrated upon the Jews, 6 million of them under the iron heel of Hitler. God surely will deal righteously and severely with Israel's enemies. And let's read chapter number 2, Zechariah chapter 2. Beginning with verse 1, he says, I lifted up mine eyes again and looked, and behold a man with a measuring line in his hand. Then said I, Whither goest thou? And he said unto me, To measure Jerusalem, to see what is the breadth thereof, and what is the length thereof. And behold, the angel that talked with me went forth, and another angel went out to meet him, and said unto him, Run, speak to this young man, saying, Jerusalem shall be inhabited as towns without walls, for the multitude of men and cattle therein. For I, saith the Lord, will be unto her a wall of fire round about, and will be the glory in the midst of her. Ho, ho, come forth and flee from the land of the north, saith the Lord. For I have spread you abroad as the four winds of the heavens, saith the Lord. Deliver thyself, O Zion, that dwellest with the daughter of Babylon. For thus saith the Lord of hosts, after the glory hath he sent me unto the nations which spoiled you. For he that toucheth you toucheth the apple of his eye. For behold, I will shake mine hand upon them, and they shall be as a spoil to their servants. And ye shall know that the Lord of hosts hath sent me. Sing and rejoice, O daughter of Zion, for lo, I come, and I will dwell in the midst of thee, saith the Lord. And many nations shall be joined to the Lord in that day, and shall be my people. And I will dwell in the midst of thee, and thou shalt know that the Lord of hosts hath sent me unto thee. And the Lord shall inherit Judah his portion, and the Holy Land, and shall choose Jerusalem again. Be silent, O all flesh, before the Lord, for he is raised up out of his holy habitation. Let's go to our text, page number 118. It's entitled Chapter 2, Vision of the Man with the Measuring Line. This vision of a man with a measuring line, measuring reed in Ezekiel 40, verses 3 and 5, speaks of a builder in our day with a measuring tape. And here the man is going to measure the length and breadth of Jerusalem. Jerusalem is going to be rebuilt. Inasmuch as Zechariah with his friend Haggai is sent to encourage the Jewish returnees to rebuild the temple, it is revealed to them the building also of the city, the rebuilding also of the city. This was carried out later on by Nehemiah in the restoration of the city wall. From here, Zechariah's prophescope Remember that prophescope word? Zechariah was looking through his prophescope at the future, wasn't he?
Oh, yeah.
You got that?
Mhm.
That's the first I've ever seen that word, but okay. From here, Zechariah's prophescope turns to the distant horizon where the prophet sees a greater Jerusalem spreading far and wide in prosperous satellite towns and villages. These all in open country with no necessity of building walls to protect them. For God will surround them with a wall of fire, and his glory will be in the midst. The wall of fire reminds of God's protection of the Israelites coming out of Egypt, a cloud by day and a fire by night. In this future setting, all the dispersed of Israel to the four winds are called to regather, even from Babylon, where many Jews still lingered to stay. This message to come home is beamed to children of Israel, exiled to so many nations. For God had a loving care for his people. The Jews are the apple of his eye. The tables will be turned when the chosen people, servants in many a foreign land, will become masters. This is a message of consolation to the captive Jews, not only in Babylon, but throughout the world, of the day when God will rule the world in righteous peace from Jerusalem in the Holy Land in a golden millennium, a literal 1,000 years. This prophecy is truly in the process of fulfillment in these last days, for Jerusalem, which was somewhat rebuilt in the time of Nehemiah, was destroyed by General Titus in AD 70 with the loss of 1 million souls. The Jews were dispersed into all the world to become known as wandering Jews. It was a miracle for Israel to become a nation again, May 14th, 1948, but her population then was only 2/3 of a million. Today, there are over 6 million in Israel, and Jerusalem is a modern city with over 600,000. This restoration or resurgence brings us to the doorsteps of the above prophecy, the ushering in of 1,000 years of peaceful reign of the Messiah on earth will happen after Armageddon. More about the preparations for the coming of the Messiah are to follow in the following chapters. We're going to stop right there. I know that's early, but we're going to take a break, and that'll give Doc time to have a breather and start his class.
Pushing all those buttons are kind of difficult. Huh?
Oh, yeah, I get tired.
And we're going to try to cover chapter 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 next week. So you got a lot of reading to do. It's not really a lot because they're very short chapters. Okay, but please read in our textbook up to page number 130. That should cover where we stop next week, and all the associated chapters, of course. Okay? So, take a 10-minute break. I want you to be back here by 8:25, please. Okay?
Brother Jerry, you have